Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Shelby County Democratic Party's Fireside Chat series. I am Michael Harris, chairman of the Shelby County Democratic Party, and we decided to put together a series of fireside chat discussions so that we could create an opportunity for voters and concerned citizens and residents of Shelby County and the city of Memphis to communicate directly with our elected officials. It's so important that we remain informed and that we get information as early as possible so that we can make the best decisions and encourage our elected officials to make decisions and to vote on the issues in a way that's consistent with what we desire as constituents. And so, of course, when we elect persons to represent us, whether at the state level, the county level, or the city level, we expect for them to represent our best interest and to do what is best for us all collectively as a city and as a county, and of course, as a part of the state of Tennessee. And so on tonight, we'll be focusing on County Commission Districts 12 and 13, and we have two wonderful hosts tonight who will take us through this journey, and we have a really exciting panel of guests and elected officials who will talk about what's happening in Shelby County, what's happening in the city of Memphis, and what's happening at the state level. So our moderator for this evening is no stranger to you. If you're a resident of Shelby County, you live in the city of Memphis, if you care anything about voting, if you care about education, you know Erica Sugarman. She is an advocate for education. She's an advocate for fair pay for teachers. She's always on the battlefield fighting to make sure that voters aren't disenfranchised and that our election commission is doing what's necessary or trying to make the best decisions possible. And what I love about Ms. Sugarman the most is she is consistent. You know, you have some advocates who kind of get fired up, and they're fired up some of the time. And then you have others who, you know, may happen to care about an issue that is a long-lasting issue, and so they're fired up for the life of the issue. And then you have those who are fired up about making sure that we're taking care of everything and clicking on all cylinders, and they're always dialed in and focused. We need leaders like that. And so our moderator for tonight will be Ms. Erica Sugarman. And also moderating the lightning round is another one of our Shelby County Democratic Party. I call her a fan favorite. She is very, very dear to my heart as well, Miss Felicia Boyd. And she's a hard worker, a team player in every sense of the word. And she is also experienced across many fields. And as a human resources professional, she's excellent at team building. She's excellent at taking ideas from a group of individuals and helping to work and put it together. So I really love working with Ms. Boyd. She's active on our executive committee, and she's always on the frontier, leading the way and standing alongside our outspoken advocates, supporting and pushing, and then sending over creative ideas. And so I'll go ahead and bring our two moderators on so that you can get to meet them. So first, I'll add Miss Erica Sugarman to the screen, and then let me go ahead and introduce you all now as well to Miss Felicia Boyd. And so this is Miss Erica Sugarman is highlighted in the center, and then this is Miss Felicia Boyd. And so I'll take Miss Boyd off the screen temporarily, and I'll bring her back on during the lightning round. But Ms. Sugarman, we are now.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I am excited because tonight we're in for a treat. We have some strong leaders here tonight from the local level as well as the state level. Tonight we have Tennessee State Senator Raumesh Akbari, as she represents the 29th District. She's currently in Nashville fighting hard, and so she said she will take a break and jump on towards the end. We also have Shelby County Commissioner Ben Turner Jr. He represents the 12th District. Turner is a partner in the law firm of Bruce Turner. He's the president and CEO of Green Space, president of the Memphis NAACP. He has served on the board of the Tennessee Bar Association, the Memphis Bar Association, and the Mississippi Bar Association. He has also served as an adjunct law professor for the University of Memphis C.C. Humphrey School of Law. Welcome. We also have with us tonight Councilman Jeff Warren, and he represents Super District 9-3. Warren served 2 terms on the Memphis City School Board and the Community Pre-K Advisory Council. He is a family medicine physician, a primary care specialist, a clinical associate professor in the Department of Family Medicine at UT Health Science Center, and the medical director for the several facilities. Dr. Warren has been caring for the people of Memphis for the past 26 years. Welcome. Now, what I'm going to do is ask the panelists a series of open-ended questions, and they'll each have a couple of minutes to answer. Okay, the first questions are for both County Commissioner Turner as well as City Councilman Warren. Okay, the first question, are you ready? Okay, your constituents, oh my gosh, they came up with some awesome questions, and they know that you have these answers. First off, when was the last disparity study completed about minority and women-owned businesses? And how aggressive are you and your colleagues been addressing these disparities? What technical resources, partnerships, capital have you made available to minority and women-owned businesses? How has the council and the commission adjusted to meet the urgency because of COVID-19 crisis and its impact on small businesses? Okay, first up, we'll have County Commissioner Van Turner.
Thank you. I think our last disparity study was concluded in 13. In 14, we pushed forth with a minority business enterprise ordinance and program because of a project with the Shelby County Health Department. We were sued by a majority-owned plumbing company. That case went to federal court. We ended up resolving that case. Unfortunately, because of some of the things that occurred with the person who performed the study, we ended up transitioning our program, and we are now doing a new study with Griffin and Strong. Attorney Strong is a Memphis native. He attended Morehouse College, and Griffin and Strong is his office in Atlanta, Georgia. He's done the study for the city of Memphis, and now he's doing our study. And so while we're in this transition period, we've strengthened our LOSB program, which is the locally owned small business program. And we're also looking to do a disadvantaged business enterprise program, similar to what's done with the airport authority. So we still will do what we can to promote minority and women-owned businesses while we are now in the process of redoing our MWBE program. So the resources that we have a whole department which is under the county commission. It is known as the EOC office, the Equity Opportunity Commission. Essentially, that's run by Carolyn Watkins, who fortunately was appointed by Mayor Strickland to the bench. So she's leaving us. She's headed that office for almost 20 years. And I think she's done a phenomenal job. And she's replacing Judge Teresa Jones. May she rest in peace. They were great friends. And so now Ms. Carolyn Watkins will go over to be a city court judge. And Shep Wilbin, who's a former commissioner, former councilman, former juvenile court clerk, is sort of now the interim in that position. So those are the resources we have. We dedicate and allocate funding to our EOC office every year. They follow up on businesses who say they are minority and women owned to make sure that they are what they say they are, because some businesses will put someone up front and say that's what they are, but that's not the case. So the EOC office really ensures the fidelity of our program to make sure that minority-owned and women-owned businesses are truly the ones who are getting these contracts and are benefiting from the contracts. And so those are sort of the resources that we dedicate. We look to partner with a number of organizations in the community in order to make this happen. And right now, Attorney Strong is undergoing the study. He kicked it off, I think, about a week ago. We hope to have this study completed by the end of the year and a new program up and running at the top of 2022. It's our goal to make sure that at the conclusion of this term, and our term ends on September 1, 2022, our new program is up and running and is doing what it needs to do to make sure there's fairness and equity with respect to us doing business with those in this community.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Okay, Councilman Warren, what's the council doing to help minority businesses and women-owned businesses, as well as the disparity study? We cannot hear you.
Thank you, Erica. We have a department run by Joanne Massey that follows these issues pretty dramatically. And our new council has been pretty emphatic about trying to find out almost on every contract what our minorities and women's spend is going to be. I think we've been aggressively pursuing that, and I think the Strickland administration has actually improved what the city's been doing by a factor of 10. Where we had 12%, 10% minority businesses on most contracts. We're in the upper 20s, and we're trying to do much better. As you know, we're a majority city here, so we have to do better. But every contract that we have is looked at in that perspective, and we try to do what we can to make sure that we're doing it. One of the things that I found interesting is we've got a number of minority businesses out there that haven't gone through the process of certifying as a minority business. And I think they may be missing out on some of these opportunities because of that. Ms. Massey was talking to the council about it, that we do have probably more minority spend than we are actually reporting, but it's because some people haven't gone through the hoops of doing the registration process you need to do. And I appreciate Commissioner Turner letting me know when our last disparity study was, because I didn't know that. It must have happened prior to me coming on the city council. But I'm glad to know that whoever they're using now was who we used. And so we're going to be lockstep in trying to make sure we continue to press for this. What we've done with COVID is we've used a lot of our COVID funds, and we targeted them for small and minority businesses, local minority businesses, women businesses. And we gave out grants accordingly. I think as this next round of funds comes through from the Biden administration, you'll see similar processes and applications come through, and we'll be looking to try to keep those businesses up and running. It's, if you look at who you've elected, you actually now have a Democratic council, and this may be the first time that we've really had a majority Democratic council in quite some time. And I think part of that has to do with breaking the lock on Super District 9 from all Republicans, and we did that this last election.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay, so next question. The state passed the Tennessee Literacy Success Act, and starting the school year 2021-22 school year, it requires children in grades kindergarten to third grade to take a literacy test. The Shelby County Schools has a pre-K program that has a limited number of spots for low-income students through the Head Start program. Will the council and the commission expand the pre-K program so more low-income students can attend? And so this time I'm going to start with City Councilman Warren.
Sure. I think it's the council's desire and also the administration's desire to have universal pre-K. So expanding that is a no-brainer. We just want to make sure that we're able to do it and have the funding to do it. So when the mayor brings us those programs, I'm sure he's going to have the votes to pass them.
Okay, great. Okay, now Commissioner Van Turner, same question.
Yes, absolutely. I think the city and the county worked prior to 2018 on a joint effort to continue pre-K because the funding had run out and there was a danger of pre-K ceasing. And so the city and the county governments joined forces and continued pre-K, and this is something that we look to continue as well. We are getting about $180 million in COVID relief funding. And so, not only, I know Dr. Warren touched on this, and there was a question asked previously, not only have we used this funding for minority and women-owned businesses, but we can also seek to perhaps use this funding to catch up and to close the gap. A lot of our young people have probably lost a few things. The SES has done a wonderful job virtually. I have 3 kids. All 3 are in the Shelby County school system. All 3 went virtual this past year. And even so, it was a great job that was done, but there may be some things that were still left off or some things that were missing. And so literacy and catching our young people up to where they have to be is something that will be important this year and next year. And hopefully this COVID relief funding via this Biden bill will assist the Shelby County schools and council and commission so that we can assist in that effort as well. And I see no better program than pre-K and Head Start to make a...
Okay, thank you so much.
So,
Okay, the next question is also for Commissioner Turner. For the past year and a half, voters of Shelby County have been told by the Shelby County Election Commission that we were going to have new voting machines or a new voting system. What is the holdup? And will we have a new voting system by the next election in 2022?
the commission asked for paper ballots with a ballot marking device alternative. The election commission said they wanted a ballot marking device primarily with paper ballot secondary. So we're at an impasse. The election commission has voted to take the commission to court. So we are on that lawsuit. So essentially, there's an impasse, and that's what the holdup is about. The election commission and the county commission can't agree on how we want to vote. And so we need to get the question answered, and we need to have it answered soon. We have a number of huge elections next year. And so it might be a judge telling us what we have to do. We'll wait and see. But I've been a supporter of hand-marked paper ballots since the beginning, and the commission. And so the election commission has not. And so that's what the holdup is about.
Okay, thank you so much. Hope we'll have a new voting system by 2022. Councilman Warren, some Memphians have been led to believe that they can save money if MLGW breaks ties with its current energy supplier, TVA, and go with MISO. However, MLGW President Young has indefinitely postponed this decision. MLGW requires improvements in its infrastructure. And your constituents want to know a couple of things. Number one, are you and the council as well as the mayor looking at getting synergy from the state and federal bonding? Number two, are you all encouraging entrepreneurial power farming? Number three, are you all considering funding and energy sources? And last, will the city council approve MLGW's RFP bidding contracts?
Well, that was a whole lot of questions, but let me start off with one. It's not that some people have been led to believe, it's that 4 different studies have showed we would save significant amounts of money by leaving TVA and going with MISO. Although Chairman Young or President Young previously 2 weeks ago said he was postponing it indefinitely, this week the MLGNW board voted to proceed with the RFP information about leaving MISO. So it's proceeding. So they're moving forward to get the information so we can actually see what the cost would be. Now, when you look at the infrastructure issues, I think we got someone's mics on. Okay. So when you look at the infrastructure needs, one of the reasons to consider going with MISO is that the money that can be saved once we convert, many financial institutions are interested in loaning us money, essentially interest-free until the savings come, for us to be able to borrow against and actually improve our infrastructure with money at this time. I've seen numbers of up to $1 billion to $2 billion that we could get now to start adding to our infrastructure and use the savings that we're going to get in 5 years when we convert. The other issue is, what sort of power source will we have to have in order to be able to make this conversion? One of the studies, the GDS study, said that we'd have to build a gas power plant because you have to have some sort of regular power. There are people in Alabama, if you've been reading Commercial Appeal, that are trying to get a nuclear power plant online that would supply that. And we have Entergy, who is south of us, who've expressed interest in building a plant where we don't have to do it, that would be specifically for our community to make up that difference when we have times where new solar and new wind that are also a possibility for energy sources would come into play. So what we're looking at is to get a study that shows us what our options are with actual real costs, where people have written down on a contract, in 5 years, we will supply you X amount of power from solar, X amount of power from nuclear, X amount of power from gas, X from wind. And this is the portfolio that you will have moving forward. And you will need to be able to provide X amount of power from some other source for your city. And when we see that, then we'll be able to compare apples with the oranges of TVA and see which fruit we really think is going to be the best for the long haul for the city.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, County Commissioner, Shelby County Juvenile Court is filled with nonviolent juveniles who need behavioral intervention programs, youth court services, diversion programs, and restorative justice approaches. What juvenile court programs does the county government have for students to transition back into the schools? Number two, does the county government have literacy programs for detained juveniles? Number three, has the county provided services so that detained juveniles can keep in contact with their families during the pandemic and afterwards? And number four, what wraparound services does the county provide for these juveniles?
Well, many of those questions are for the juvenile court. Judge Dan Michael, and the clerk there is former council woman Janice Fullylove. Let me just say that I was a proponent of oversight. At one point in time, the Department of Justice was providing oversight to our juvenile court. Unfortunately, there was a request made to stop that oversight, and that request was granted under the Trump administration. And so now that we have, I think, a more progressive administration in place, the Biden administration, we may look again to having federal oversight of our juvenile justice system, because I thought that while we did have that oversight, we saw improvements. Of course, all this was brought on by former Commissioner Henry Brooks. So the appreciation really goes to Commissioner Brooks for really pushing this in the first place, as oversight. And so many of the questions that have been asked are questions we should pose to the juvenile court. The commission no longer has any type of true oversight, neither does the Department of Justice, but that's something we should look towards regaining. And I think that for those instances where we can improve what's going on there, make sure that the young people, the detainees, are getting educated so we slow down recidivism. We're in support of all of that. And making sure that as we go through this pandemic crisis, keeping the young people encouraged and, family near them is also important. And these are questions that we could pose to the juvenile court system to make sure that they're executing on some of those things which have been asked of us. And as I stated before, we will perhaps be seeking to regain more oversight of the juvenile court system along with the Department of Justice in the next coming months.
That's great. Okay, I think that State Senator Akbari is going to join us now. Is that correct?
She's temporarily disconnected at the moment.
Oh, okay. So we're going to go on then. We have more questions.
We're trying to get it.
Okay, so she's going to jump on as soon as she can. Let's see. Next question for Councilman Warren. Okay, the mayor will be appointing a new Memphis police director. Please explain the city council's role in this process. does the Memphis City Council have to approve the mayor's appointment? If not, what are the next steps?
The mayor is in charge of appointing the next police director, and the city council, like all major divisional heads in the government, need approval from the council. So it's a collaborative issue where the executive branch is in charge of doing the search. The Department of Human Resources sets up the search. And I'm looking here, they brought in various groups to assist with the search. We had the president of Memphis Tomorrow. We had the executive director of the Crime Commission. We had the University of, we had a person from the University of Memphis neighborhood. We had someone from Uptown neighborhood, TJ Buchanan, Tawan Mitchell. We had the Quest Knowledge executive director, Marlon Foster. And we had Bill Atkins, Reverend Bill Atkins from Greater Amani Church, were part of the civilian committee. We also had people from the city council. Cheyenne Johnson was on this committee. Essica Littlejohn was president of the Police Association on the committee. Amy Wyrick, a district attorney, was there. We had Bruce McMullen, who's a partner at Baker Donaldson law firm. We had Reverend James Kirkwood, who is on the clerk board. He's the president of the clerk board. We have Ben Jabur from La Prensa Latina, and Devontae Hill is a community activist. So those were the community members of the search committee. And in addition, we also had from the city administration, Doug McGowan, our COO, Jennifer Sink, our chief legal officer, Ursula Madden, our chief communication officer, Alex Smith, head of human resources, Shirley Ford, our chief operating officer, and Ken Moody, who's the communication relations for the city of Memphis. So those were the people that were on the search committee. So now that that search has been done.
Okay, the search has been done. That is correct. Well, the question that your constituents want to know, does the council have in place, or do they need to develop a process so they can vet future appointees that will satisfy the council's and the citizens need to know in all appointees? In other words, the vetting process. They're concerned that the council as well as the public are not part of the vetting process, even though the executive and all these other individuals were involved in the search process.
I understand what you're saying, but I think that it's really almost impossible to have every organization try to make a decision on a hire for the city. And where we have our authority and ability to make decisions as citizens is we elect people to do that. Otherwise, we would be a committee of the whole for every major decision. Now, I think what will occur is after there's someone who's chosen, he or she will go out and then meet with community members and listen and hear what the people of the community are concerned about and worried about. And I think what you're going to find is with the input they got from the committee here and the people that were on these committees that did the search, they've been listening to constituents also. You know, if you think Reverend Atkins, I mean, Greater Amani Church, I mean, people that go to that church are talking to their preacher. The Crime Commission people, they're hearing from people who've been, you know, victims of crime. You know, you've got Devontae Hill, who has been listening to people who are activists and bringing that perspective. So I think as opposed to a committee of the whole, I think they've done a pretty good job bringing it out. I was talking to Micah today, trying to make sure that we can get some of their voices heard also. And I think what's going to happen is when this person is nominated, they're going to be making tours around the city and going to every district to make sure that they're going to be able to hear from citizens and know what we're concerned about.
Okay, but again, I'm not trying to be argumentative like that, but I think you're missing the point of
I'm not missing the point. I just don't think that when you're having someone hired by the executive branch, you can like have multiple citizens committees that somehow are going to be putting input into how that works. I think the mayor has listened to people And I think they pretty much got their ear to the ground listening to what people want. I mean, they know we want community policing. They know.
And
we
so
want
all the city
murder
councilmen will
right now.
have input as well?
Yes, I mean, you know, they've been listening to us. I mean, right now, the council has been very vocal about trying to get our murder rate down and seeing what we can do to help the poorest in our community. And I think people are going to be really pleased when we see this group violence intervention program coming out, because if you remember, we were talking about defunding the police. Well, what people were really talking about wasn't, you know, don't fund the police. They were saying you need to put money in the 80% of the problem that's not policing, right? And if you look at this program as it comes out, you're going to see that that's what's going to be happening. We're going to be investing in street intervention people. We're going to be investing in social workers. We're going to be investing in jobs opportunities and how to connect kids who are out there in gangs and giving them a chance to be productive. I mean, you have to realize the kids who are doing this are not evil people. They're broken kids, you know, who are victims of post-traumatic stress disorder. And so in order to fix that, you're going to have to do the social intervention. In addition to making sure we stop them from killing each other. It's hand in hand. If they're still killing each other, you can't do the social intervention. But just going out and throwing kids in jail is not going to fix the problem. So,
exactly right.
So I think what you're going to find is when this comes out and people see how we're focusing energy and resources into doing the social work necessary to lower crime, I think we're going to be able to get our citizens behind it.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. We're going to go on to County Commissioner. Next question, and thank you for that. Commissioner Turner, the city council members, as well as county mayors, they have two-term limits. However, the Shelby County School Board members do not have two-term limits. Would you support two-term limits for the Shelby County School Board members? If not, why not?
I mean, I see no problems with term limits for school board members. I think this question was posed to us, and it's really something that they would have to do, perhaps by a referendum vote. I don't know what would be the process, but if council and commission are term limited, county mayor, city mayor term limited, I don't see a reason why the school board should not be term limited. Now, state rep, state senate, Congress, federal representative and federal senators, of course, are not term limited. And of course, the attorney general and judges have 8 years instead of 4 years, but they're not term limited. So it appears that there are different standards if you're with the state and the federal government as opposed to if you're with local government. So if you just expound that question, should we have term limits for everybody then, including state and federal representatives? So, that's really something that should be to the people.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think the question should be put to the people. And of course, I've supported the term limits as a commissioner, and I see no reason why that shouldn't apply to other local bodies. And so
well, thank you so much.
People decide.
Thank you so much. Okay, is Akbari here now, State Senator? If not, we're going to go on to the lightning round. Chair? Okay, so now the lightning round. This is a round where Ms. Boyd's going to ask you a series of questions. And you'll take, it's going to be closed-ended questions. There might be a few minutes for you to maybe respond with your answer. Okay, Ms. Boyd, take it away. And thank you all so much.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sugarman. And we want to give a big shout out to Shelby County Democratic Party for this platform to share elected officials' positions on certain voter issues. And I'd just like to say greetings to all of you for joining us tonight too. I am Alicia Boyd and I represent District 13. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post it.
Okay, excuse me, Akbari just jumped on, and so I'd like to ask her a few questions, if I may, Ms. Boyd. Okay, Akbari, Senator Akbari, she comes from Nashville. She's been working hard fighting for us. Akbari is a member of the American Bar Association, the Ben F. Jones chapter of the National Bar Association, the National Organization of Black Elected Legislative Women, New Deal, National Black Caucus of State Legislators, and the Democratic Party of Shelby County. Okay, real quickly, I would like to ask you a few questions. Senator Akbari, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, let's see. The state passed the Tennessee Literacy Success Act, and starting the school year of 2021-22 school year, it is required that kindergarten through third graders take a literacy test. And so here in Shelby County, we have a limited number of spaces for low-income children to have the pre-K program. And so we know that the state is getting a lot of COVID-19 money. And we would love for you all to be able to expand pre-K programs for low-income students. Will the state be able to do that?
Certainly, we have to look at what the restrictions are on our federal funds. I will say this, though, there is the majority of the funds will go directly to the school system. I think Shelby County Schools will get about $500 million on this next cut. So we'll see what we can do on a state level, but I do know locally they have a lot of control over what they can do education-wise. They have to submit plans to the Department of Education, and then they will approve it. So to that extent, we have a little, or I shouldn't say we, but the governor's administration has a little bit of control. But definitely, I mean, I think universal pre-K is one of the most important things we can do as a state. Unfortunately, a lot of my colleagues don't think it's a good thing, and they don't want to prioritize funding it. But whatever we can, hopefully we can make it happen.
Thank you so much. It is terrific that the CDC has extended the moratorium on evictions. However, landlords and leasing companies that cannot collect rent cannot pay their bills, which harms their creditworthiness. What COVID-19 relief can landlords and leasing companies expect from Tennessee legislators and the governor?
Well, they already have. I'm on a task force that oversees the CARES dollars. There's already been a significant amount of funds that have been released that individuals can apply for, not just lease relief, but also mortgage relief. I think the average amount that people have applied for is about $5,000, and then they will pay that directly to the either owner of the property or the leaseholder. So I think that, or the landlord rather. So I think that's good, and we just need to continue to have more as these next round of dollars come about. Sorry, my niece is here, and she's so cute and distracting me. So I'm sorry, but yeah. So there's room for it in the second amount of stimulus funds, and certainly in the third amount of stimulus funds.
Okay, next question. Thank you for your bill to amend the state constitution to eliminate penal slavery. What is that process like, and do you believe that it will be successful?
I think so. So it had to pass in 2 general assemblies. It passed in the 111th. Now we're in the 112th, and it has to pass. It's already passed in the Senate. It has to pass in the House, and then it has to be funded. It only costs $10,000 to put it on the ballot, but we've talked to the governor and the speakers, and I think they'll make it a priority. It has to go on the ballot in 2022. It's to be a constitutional amendment. It has to be voted on by those in the state. Now, if it fails after that, I think that speaks a lot about the people in this state. But I'm hoping that we'll have a pretty nice campaign to push that through.
Great, thank you so much. And the state promotes colonial policies where Black and Brown culture and history are not included in the curricula and the resources. Will you support a culturally relevant pedagogy in Tennessee's curricula and state standards?
Oh, for sure. The standards are where we have the most control, at least as far as what we can do in legislation, and then the state board will set them. And then the curricula, that's something that they'll do on a school board level. But yes, I mean, Senator Katrina Robinson has something that incorporates more Black history in 5th and 8th grade. Now, she's having some problems with this bill. It got out of the Education Committee, but she's being asked to amend it on the floor, and they're trying to send it back to committee, which will make it even more difficult to pass. But I certainly support it in every way. Thank
you so much. And last question for you. From me, that is, there are so few women, minorities, and working class people in the state legislature. Why and what can we do to change it?
Well, I think one, it's just difficult because if you don't live in Nashville, you have to travel. I have to be there. Like I just got back from Nashville. I was on the road for part of this discussion, and then I got cut off for a second. But it's difficult to one to balance it when you're working. To be in Nashville Monday through Thursday, January through end of April, early May. And then I think also just to run for office. So you have a lot of folks who are retired or who are independently wealthy or who are older because they're retired and they have the time to do it. But we just have to support candidates when they run and understand that the best candidate is the one that folks need to get behind, regardless of whether or not they have the money to win or they're independently wealthy or things like that. But it's more difficult when you have to travel. Those who are in Nashville, I mean, it's just another meeting for them.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we're going to have a lightning round, and Ms. Boyd's going to ask you a series of questions, and they're basically closed-ended questions so that your constituents can see where you stand on some issues or that they're concerned about. Okay, Ms. Boyd, take it away.
Thank you very
And
much,
thank you, Senator.
Ms. Sugarman. Okay, thank you. Thank you. As Ms. Sugarman said, I'm going to pose to each of you the same set of lightning round questions to get your position. Lightning round questions are similar questions that require a yes or no response. So we're going to try this again. First, oh, how cute that baby is. I know I heard a baby. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for the resolution and your support against the Bahia pipeline. Will you continue to fight to protect our aquifers? Councilman Warren.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Turner
Yes.
and Senator Akbari.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next question. Do you support policies that protect the rights and equitable administration of resources and working with the following communities: Blacks, Latinos, Asians, and other people of color, the LGBTQ community, undocumented people? Senator Akbari.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Warren
Yes.
and Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Thank you for your responses. Next question. Do you support the reproduction rights of women? Senator Akbari.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Warren.
My wife was president of Choices, so I can't come home at night.
Okay. And Commissioner Turner.
Yes. I support.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
support.
so very much. We're going to move on to the next question.
Gigi.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Gigi.
Okay. Will you, the next question is, will you help to expand universal pre-K for the low income and the working poor of Memphis? We're going to start off with Councilman Warren.
Yes.
Thank you. Senator Akbari.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next question. Will you support year-round literacy programs in community centers, libraries, and churches for adults and children? Senator Akbari.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Warren.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your responses. Now, these next set of questions are specific to Commissioner Turner and Councilman Warren. Will you continue to fight against environmental issues facing low income and impoverished areas in Memphis?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Warren?
Yes, ma'am. We're going to keep
Thank you
fighting
very-
this pipeline.
Thank you so very much. Glad to hear that. Next question. Do you support oversight, accountability, and transparency for recipients of pilots, TIFs, and other incentive programs? Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Warren.
Yes, I think the bodies that approve them need to have oversight when they ask for funding. We need to have reports from those bodies so we know what's going on.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Now, the next set of questions that I ask, they're going to be specific to each of you because the constituents wants to know what your individual position is. Senator Akbari, pardon me. Do you support a state mandate test waiver for students this year?
Yes, I do. I think that we have legislation, but there are too many conditions on it as far as the amount of students who are actually tested. So yeah, but I do support it.
Thank you. When the state gives teachers raises, it does not always trickle down to them. Will you support earmarking teacher raises so that school districts will pass them on to their teachers?
Yes.
Thank you. Will you support fully funding of the basic education program?
Yes, ma'am. And fixing it, not just fully funding it, but fixing it because the foundation of it is broken.
Thank you. Glad to hear that. Will you continue to fight for Medicaid expansion?
Yes, and I'm hoping that that will come to pass because we have new federal incentives. So there's truly no reason why we are not expanding Medicaid right now.
Except for
Super,
racism.
fantastic. Now, these two questions are for Councilman Turner. Do you support Shelby County as a sanctuary county?
Yes.
Next question. Is there a policy against Shelby County Sheriff's Department using chokeholds? If not, why not?
Yes, there is a policy against using chokeholds.
Fantastic. Appreciate that, sir. Councilman Warren, do you support only single council districts? And do you support Memphis as a sanctuary city?
I'm not sure about single districts. I'm really not sure about that, but I'm open to hear arguments. I got elected on a super district, so I'm thinking, well, I can do it, but it's really harder, I think, for the average person to get elected. So I would be, if the thing came up, I would probably end up voting for it. And as far as the sanctuary city, I think we are, and I support that idea.
Super fantastic. Employ, and MAP are great summer youth programs that the city offers. Will they be expanded to include a literacy component?
If that's for me, I do not know the answer to that since I'm not really running that program, but I can look and try to figure it out for you.
Fantastic. We'll look forward to that. Next question. Do you support the Civilian Law Enforcement Review Board having subpoena powers?
I'm on the Civilian Law Enforcement Board this year as a council member. And, I think it's reasonable to consider giving them subpoena power. But looking at how it's working, I think that essentially everybody that they wanted to talk to while I've been on there has gone and testified for them. So, I want to hear the arguments. And, in my mind, we've been getting what we needed while I've been on the two cases that I've seen. So I haven't seen a case where we've needed someone to testify that we haven't got their information.
Fantastic. Last question for you, Councilman Warren. Are there any programs to pass on energy savings to low-income residents in Memphis?
MLG&W has certain programs where they do work to help people pay their bills. I don't think they're essential discounts. There is a thing where you can donate $1 every month to help people who are having trouble with their bills. But the real thing we need to do is to lower our energy cost. And I think we can do that if we move to MISO over time. Because if you look at our total energy burden, water and gas and electricity, our water is free. We've got that beautiful aquifer. We barely have to treat it. Other people spend a lot of money to get water. Gas, our natural gas is coming right from the refinery, right at the border. So we don't have to pay to transport it. It's here. So it's very cheap. What really costs us is our electricity. So if we can take that electricity cost down, then you think about what you've got is we've got a lot of people where 40% of their income is their rent and 40% of their income is their power. They got 20% to live on. So we got to try to get it down any way we can. And that's going to come from electricity, in my opinion.
Okay, fantastic. I want to say on behalf of Shelby County Democratic Party, we thank you for your time and for sharing your position on these issues that are concerning to Memphis and Shelby County constituents. What I'll do now is I'll turn this back over to our chairman, Michael Harris. Thank you again. Y'all did great.
Thank you all so much for putting this together for Miss Erica Sugarman and Miss Felicia Boyd. We have a follow-up question. I think we have a couple minutes remaining that I'd like to go ahead and toss out.
Yeah, we do.
The question is, sanctuary city status, what does that really mean? Would you guys like to take a stab at it? Go ahead.
I think what it means is that you're not obligated to call the ICE people on people that you may have in your custody. So it's not like if you have someone and you can't prove their documentation, you don't automatically go ahead and call ICE to come in and check them out and deport them. That's my understanding. All it really means is that you're not going out of your way to try to turn people over to immigration.
Awesome. And I guess just as a roundup question, let me toss this out there. What do you see as one concrete goal that you could achieve for the duration of your term in your current seat? I think one of the just the big misconceptions that we all have had at one point or another, and I think a lot of our voters have, is thinking that elected officials, when they get into office, that they magically become able to change something really dynamic overnight and by themselves. We know that it's a team effort, but in reference to your district, what is something that you can do for your district that you can control within your wheelhouse realistically, that is a goal that you're working on and that you hope to carry out by the end of your term?
Well, for me, Chairman, I would like to get our MWBE program up and running. I really hate the fact that we had to transition away from it, but there is an opportunity to bring it back even stronger than what it was before. And also supporting the Hickory Hill community as far as we have 2 or 3 commercial properties, which I would like to see repurposed and put back into use. The old Hickory Ridge Mall, the Kmart store at Winchester and Riverdale, and 2 other parcels of commercial property along Winchester that are close to the old Hickory Ridge Mall. And hopefully I can get that underway. Because of term limits, I can start that process and hopefully turn it over, pass the baton to the new commissioner for District 12, which we will have next year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I've got 2 things that I really want to do, and I guess this relates back to the super district question. When you're a super district person, you're really you think about the whole city and you think about everything. So in my mind, what I would like to do is I would like to see this group violence intervention program lower our murder rate 10% a year the whole time I'm here once it gets initiated, because that's going to save a lot of lives and repurpose money that we can put into education, into economic development, and to communities. The other thing I'd like to do is I'd like to see us block this pipeline and protect our aquifer, and to get laws passed that we actually have the ability to protect our drinking water. And on a smaller scale, I'd like to make sure that the street that comes off of Poplar, Scott Street, doesn't get stopped and we still have access for Binghamton community to come in. So that's sort of a super district thing. You go all the way from the big picture down to local districts there. So that's one of the reasons that I think sometimes it may be beneficial to have that. So you're not arguing 15 people for the same amount. You got people that are looking at the whole pie too.
And yeah, to answer that question, an election is a term limit, but there's several pieces of legislation I've been working on related to school discipline, trying to kind of help break the school to prison pipeline. Something to do with, if you all remember Centoya Brown, something to do with changing our juvenile justice bills, and especially related to punishment for juveniles that commit first degree murder. We have a micro business program that will try and help provide funding to these smaller businesses, smaller than a small business, that I think can really help reduce some of the economic disparities. And certainly anytime we can, for me, if I could just wave a magic wand, I would do a couple things. One, I would pass the juvenile justice package. Two, I would revise the BEP formula. And three, I would expand Medicaid. So those are the things that I would like to really see done sooner than later.
Awesome. Well, I know I said that was the last one, but this one jumped into mind. Just a real quick answer. Give us a very brief 30-second SWOT analysis of the city of Memphis for our councilman, Shelby County for our commissioner, and for the state of Tennessee in whole and in part for your district. Greatest strength, greatest weakness, biggest opportunity, and our biggest threat.
Well, strength, I think what we've got Memphis's grit. We've got great people here that love our city. Our weaknesses, sometimes we don't believe in ourselves as much. You actually hear Memphians talk us down more than anybody else. Our opportunity is we've got money coming in. We've got money that's going to be available from the Biden administration. We're going to see infrastructure money coming in if they can get this infrastructure bill passed. We're going to have ways that we can actually build green new infrastructure here and get everybody wired into 5G and do the things that we need to do to make equality and opportunity happen. So I guess our threat is we fight among each other and we don't go ahead and try to get it done together.
Awesome. Commissioner.
I think the strength is, the county has 7 great cities within it. We almost have 1 million people. And so the strength is that the epicenter of the Mid-South is Memphis and Shelby County. When you look to Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee, and especially in this area, our strength is we as a Mid-South epicenter, we really, I think, have not realized our true potential. Weakness is that we stay divided. Dr. Warren knows this as a councilman. I thought we had a wonderful opportunity when the school systems did come together, and of course they quickly broke apart. We have to stop this county against city, city against county fight. We all have to come together. Each of the 7 cities have attributes that make this county wonderful. And if we come together and work together, I think we can really see the true beauty and the true opportunities that are within this wonderful county. Our opportunities are just what I've indicated. I just saw where Tunica is getting a new water park. My kids and I have traveled all through Georgia and Texas, going to various water parks just so they can have a water park. And yet Tunica our neighbors down the street are getting a water park. That's something that Memphis and Shelby County should have had 5 years ago. So we have the space, we have the ability to do so, and we just need to come together and really take advantage of those opportunities that we have. As Dr. Warren stated, the wonderful water that we have. We have the Mississippi River that flows along our banks. We just have wonderful. We're located in a wonderful place, and we just need to accentuate our positives, stop dwelling on the negatives, and really push this county and the city forward. The threats would be that Mississippi is now trying to get rid of the state income tax that they have, which will make them more attractive to businesses. And, West Memphis has a wonderful young mayor who's really trying to put West Memphis on the map, which means he's trying to attract businesses away from Memphis, as well as Mississippi. When they get rid of their state income tax, they're going to try to attract business down in Mississippi. So we have to do what we can to attract businesses here into town, to keep trying to do so in order to provide those job opportunities for our people here within the city and the county. But Mississippi and Arkansas continue to be threats to us as far as them attracting away businesses and opportunities from Memphis and Shelby County. Thank you.
Awesome. Senator?
So I'll do the threat first, which the threat is the GOP supermajority. I think that when any political party has a supermajority, then you don't get real innovation. It can be dangerous, and it can cause you to act foolishly. Like, we have a lot of legislation that's being pushed right now that has nothing to do with moving our state forward, that has nothing to do with recruiting more businesses or reducing health disparities or help bring folks out of poverty. We have legislation that tries to fight this very public cultural war that our state ends up losing. Okay, so we've had a slate of anti-trans bills. We've had legislation that seeks to make it more difficult for folks to protest. We've had legislation that even compromises the quality of care for the LGBTQ community. Just stuff that makes a lot of noise, sucks a lot of the oxygen out of the room, but it doesn't accomplish anything. And it jeopardizes businesses coming to our communities. And it puts people in our state at a certain risk and makes them feel uncomfortable in their own state. I think some of the good things that we have on the horizon, obviously, we have very dedicated Democratic caucuses in the House and the Senate that are going to push Democratic values. They're going to try and find compromise when we can. We compromise on legislation without compromising our values. And that's difficult to do, but we nevertheless, we persist. So I think it's difficult being in Nashville as a member of the super minority, but it is a fight that I think we gear up for every week when we go up there. We try and pass good things, stop the bad things, and hopefully get home unscathed. But you all know this, Shelby County and Davidson County are consistently in the crosshairs, whether it comes to education or funding for even funding for the cities, because of this increase in federal dollars coming from the Biden administration. There's a move to try and exclude Davidson, and State is offering. See, she's upset by it too. So that's kind of how it is. We just got to elect more Democrats, and redistricting is going to be a bear. It's not something that I think any of us are looking forward to. But the good thing is, we're already starting to set up some legal maneuvers so that we'll be ready. Like, we're not going to be caught off guard. So.
Wonderful answers. And so we've heard from our elected officials, and we've gotten a lot of information, and we've heard some interesting ideas. I really like what we've been hearing. And so I want to share with you as we wrap up something that I said on our last Fireside Chat. We heard the statement made that 1 gallon of oil contaminates 1 million gallons of water. And with that being the case, voters, residents of Shelby County, citizens of Memphis, us Memphians, look, we are the aquifer, and we're in a unique position to protect it. So let's not be the gallon of oil. Let the gallon of oil pass from us And let's block that by being active as voters. Let's get engaged. Let's stay informed. When it's time to vote, get out to the polls and exercise that power. That's how we get things done. That's how we move this city forward. And that work is never finished. That's the thing. It's never finished. This is a marathon that never ends. But we've signed up for the journey because we want to continue to grow. We want the city of Memphis to evolve and to continually be better. And that work requires us to stay committed to the cause day in and day out, year in and year out. And when our time is up, we want the next generation to be in a position that is exponentially better than the position we are in today. So thank you so much to our elected officials. Thank you so much to our moderators, Ms. Erica Sugarman and Ms. Felicia Boyd, and to the Democratic Grassroots Caucus members for District 12 and District 13. And since this is our last session, I want to also say thank you to all of the Democratic Grassroots Council members who put in effort and energy to help make this Fireside Chat series a possibility. This is new territory for us. This is something we haven't done before. And that's what makes it so special. We have, in the face of a global pandemic, found a way to evolve. I think those who are familiar with the Shelby County Democratic Party know very well that technology wasn't an area where we had exercised a lot of ingenuity and taken advantage of as many opportunities. We're still working on it today, but we can say we're better. We can say we've taken a step forward and then another step after that. And so thank you so much to our entire DGC. Thank you to our executive committee members who also invested so much time and energy, and to all the host of elected officials at on the city, county, and state level who have taken time from their busy schedules to hop on yet another Zoom or another video conference meeting in the middle of managing their lives and taking care of the cute little ones to give us information and share their energy, knowledge, and time with us. So thank you so much. And we'll keep this series going. It won't be weekly like this Fireside Chat series is, but the next wave will be inviting our countywide elected officials to come and share information about what they're doing in their office. And once we cycle through all of our countywide elected officials, we're going to start reaching out to partner organizations and community organizations to talk about what they're doing so that we can begin to build some synergy and start laying the foundation for moving Memphis and Shelby County forward. And so it starts now and it never ends. Remember that. Thank you so much. Enjoy yourself today. Have a good evening.
Good night.